What if the very land you walked on was trying to kill you, and the only man who could save you was someone the world called dangerous? The scrubland was burning under the harsh Texas sun, and Laya May felt like she was burning with it. Her feet were torn in bloody shapes, barely human anymore. She had lost her shoes days ago. Maybe 3, maybe 4. Time had turned into a simple rhythm of pain. Sun up meant walk. Sun down meant hide. She walked because stopping meant death. Or worse, it meant being found. Her torn blue dress hung from her in strips, the silk ruined by mud and blood. Her hands were shredded too. She had clawed her way out of a ravine, dug for water she never found, pushed through thorns that tore her skin again and again. She kept going because she had no choice. She was running from Dennis, from Silas, from the sheriff who hunted her like prey. She was running from a life she would rather die than return to. Then the sky changed. The flat white turned sickly yellow. In the west, a wall of dust rose like a living beast. It moved fast. It rolled toward her with a roar that shook the ground. There was nowhere to hide. The wind hit her first, a solid punch that stole her breath. Then, the sand. It filled her mouth, her eyes, her lungs. She fell to her knees and curled tight, covering her head with her hands. The storm roared until the world went black. She stopped fighting. She accepted it. Maybe this was the end she deserved. Miles away, Boon Carrian was checking his fence line when he saw the storm rolling in. He barely made it to the cover of a rocky outcrop. The wind whipped around him for hours, a battering wall of dust. When it finally eased, he rode out to check the damage. A rail was snapped clean by the force of the storm. As he bent to look at it, his horse Flint shied away, ears back. Then Boon saw it. Something small and half buried against the broken fence post. A pile of rags, maybe, or a dead animal. He approached with his hand on his pistol. He nudged the shape with his boot. It was soft. A woman. Her face was caked in dried mud. Her hair was a tangled mess. Her feet were bleeding. She looked less like a person and more like something the storm had chewed up and spit out. He looked around. Nothing. No tracks. No wagon. No rider. He should leave her. His ranch was his safe place, the only place in the world where no one tried to cage him. He knew trouble when he saw it. And this woman was trouble. But when he saw her hands, raw, torn, something in him shifted. He knew what desperation looked like, and this woman had lived it. He cursed under his breath, holstered his gun, and lifted her off the ground. She weighed almost nothing. He put her over his saddle and rode toward his cabin. Laya woke to the smell of pine and whiskey. At first she thought she was dead. Then she realized she wasn't. She was lying on a small cot, wrapped in a rough wool blanket. Someone had cleaned her hands and covered them in a green, stinging salve. Her feet were wrapped in clean rags. She wore a man's flannel shirt, far too big for her. The small cabin was tight and simple. Log walls, a stone fireplace, a table, 2 chairs, a rifle over the hearth. Then a shadow moved. She scrambled back, hitting the wall, clutching the blanket to her chest as the man rose from the corner. He was huge, broad shoulders, dark hair tied back, a weathered face that looked carved from stone. His voice rumbled low like distant thunder. "You're safe," he said. Her voice cracked when she spoke. "Where am I?" "My ranch," he said. "Storm almost killed you. What is your name?" "Boon Carrian." She swallowed hard. Fear crawled up her spine. This man was like no one she had ever met. He didn't come closer, he didn't touch her, he simply filled the room with his presence. He held out a dipper of water. She didn't take it. He set it halfway between them and stepped back. Only then did she reach for it. "I have to go," she said, her voice shaking. "My husband, he'll be worried." Boon stared at her, a long, still look. She changed her lie quickly. "I'm a widow, traveling to Wyoming. Bandits attacked me." He didn't believe her. She could see it in his eyes, but he didn't argue. "Another storm is coming," he said. "A snow. "You won't last an hour out there." Quote, "I can't stay." "I don't run a charity," Boon said. "You eat my food, you use my fire, you work." I can cook, so." "Then rest," he said. He put on his coat, took a rope, and stepped outside. She heard the sound of an axe cutting wood. Steady, strong, certain. Only then did she put her face in her hands and cry silently. The days that followed were cold and hard. Boon didn't talk much. His silence was a wall. She tried to help, but failed again and again. Her soft hands bled. Her feet ached. Her mistakes frustrated him. But he didn't send her away. He watched her with a sharp, unreadable gaze that made her heart twist with fear and something else she couldn't name. She saw his scars. The knife wound across his temple, the way he always stayed near a weapon, the way he moved like a man who had survived things she couldn't imagine. And he saw her flinches, her bruises, her trembling hands, her haunted eyes. Snow came hard and fast. The blizzard trapped them in the small cabin for days. The walls felt too close, the air too thin. She paced until she collapsed. She fainted, her body giving out from fear and exhaustion. Boon carried her to the cot, his arms strong, his face tight with concern. He didn't speak. When she begged him not to leave her alone in the dark, he didn't touch her. He didn't climb into the bunk beside her. Instead, he laid a bearskin rug outside her curtain and sat there all night, his rifle across his knees, guarding her from the storm and whatever haunted her dreams. Laya fell asleep to the sound of his steady breathing. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe. The storm outside never seemed to stop. The wind slammed against the cabin walls like a wild animal trying to break in. Laya paced the small room again, her fingers trembling as she pulled the blanket tighter around herself. The cabin felt smaller each day. The silence pressed against her chest like a weight she could not lift. Boon watched her from the wood stove as he stirred a pot of stew. He didn't ask questions, but he saw everything. The way she froze whenever a branch scraped the window, the way her eyes darted to the door whenever the wind howled, the way she held her breath whenever he stood too close. She was afraid of something, or someone. That morning, the blizzard eased just enough for Boon to lead the horses to the shed. Laya followed him outside with a small bucket of warm water. When she stepped into the snow, her legs shook. She almost fell, but Boon caught her arm. She stiffened instantly. "You're too big," she whispered before she could stop herself. Her face flushed. She didn't mean it the way it sounded. She meant he was stronger than she was used to, stronger than she could trust. Boon let go immediately and stepped back. His voice was steady and calm. "Then hold on tighter to the ground," he said. "The snow will take you if you don't." For the first time, she saw something different in his eyes. Not anger, not impatience, just a quiet kind of care. A man who understood fear because he knew it well himself. Laya helped him carry feed to the horses. Her hands trembled so much she spilled half the bucket, but Boon didn't scold her. He simply took the heavier load and nodded toward the cabin. Inside, she warmed her hands by the fire while Boon took off his coat. The heat from the flames made her shoulders relax. She didn't know why it felt safer when he was inside with her. Maybe it was because danger usually came wearing a smile. Boon didn't smile much. Maybe that honesty made him easier to trust. Later that day, she found him fixing a broken hinge on the door. She gathered the courage to speak. "You saved me from the storm," she said. "You didn't have to." "I don't leave people to die," Boon replied without looking up. "You don't even know me." He paused, his jaw tightened. "I know enough," he said. "I know someone hurt you." Her breath caught. The words hit her like a blow. She turned away, gripping the edge of the small table. "No one hurt me," she whispered, but the lie cracked in her voice. Boon stood. His shadow stretched across the floor as he walked toward her. She tensed, expecting him to demand the truth, but he didn't ask anything. He simply set a bowl of stew in front of her, "Eat," he said softly. "I don't need the story." Quote, his kindness broke something in her. She blinked hard, fighting tears. After the meal, she helped him stack wood near the fire. Their hands brushed once, just for an instant. She felt the strength in his grip, a strength that, for the first time, did not scare her. It made her feel grounded, like maybe she wasn't drifting anymore. That evening, as the storm howled, she sat at the edge of her cot and watched Boon clean his rifle. She studied the way he moved. Slow, steady, in control. She wondered what had carved the scars on his face, what memories lived behind his quiet eyes. She wanted to ask, but the words refused to leave her throat. Instead, she whispered, "Thank you for letting me stay." Boon didn't lift his head. "Storm's not done yet," he said. "And you're not strong enough to travel." "Will you keep me here until I'm strong?" she asked. This time he looked at her. His voice was steady, deep. "I'll keep you safe," he said, "as long as you need." The wind shrieked outside. Laya's heart pounded, but for once it wasn't from fear. That night, when thunder rolled across the plains, she woke with a cry she could not hold back. The memories were too loud. The faces she ran from were too close. She pressed her hands to her ears, shaking. Boon was at her side before she could speak. He didn't touch her. He only crouched beside her, close enough for her to feel his presence. "You're safe," he said firmly. "No one's coming through that door." Her breaths came fast and shallow. "I don't want to be alone," she whispered. Boon stood slowly. He didn't climb into the cot. Instead, he took the old rocking chair and set it beside her bed. He sat there, his large frame filling the room with quiet certainty. He rocked gently, his boots touching the floor with slow, steady sounds that matched the rhythm of her breathing. The storm thundered outside, but inside the cabin the only sound was the creak of wood and the soft, protective steadiness of Boon's presence. She fell asleep with her hand inches from his, and even though he never touched her, she felt held. For the first time in years, she slept without fear. The storm eased at dawn, leaving a white world outside the cabin. Snow stretched across the plains like a clean blanket. Inside, the fire burned low, and Boon sat where he had been all night, dozing lightly in the rocking chair. Laya woke to the faint creak of the chair and the soft glow of morning light through the frosted window. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw him. The big cowboy with the tired eyes. The man who stayed awake so she could sleep. The man who guarded her without asking anything in return. "You stayed," she whispered. Boon rubbed the sleep from his face. "You needed it." She sat up slowly. Her body still hurt, but the fear wasn't choking her anymore. Something had changed. Maybe the storm had washed some of the terror away. Or maybe it was the way Boon looked at her, not with pity, but with steady understanding. He stood and stretched. His shirt clung to him, outlining the muscles earned from years of ranch work. He pulled on his coat and nodded toward the door. "Storm's passed. I need to check the herd." Quote. Laya tightened her blanket around herself. "I want to help." "You're still weak. I won't get stronger sitting here." He studied her for a long moment, then gave a single nod. Outside, the cold hit her like a slap, but she followed him through the snow toward the pasture. Boon walked slowly so she could keep up. When her legs shook, he steadied her with the lightest touch on her elbow, then let go as soon as she found her balance. They reached the corral where a broken fence rail leaned sideways. Boon crouched to fix it. Laya held the spare nails with shaking hands. Twice she dropped them in the snow. Boon didn't sigh or growl. He simply picked them up and placed them back in her hands. "You're trying," he said. "That's what matters." She blinked fast. No one had ever said that to her. By midday, pale sunlight warmed the air just enough to melt patches of snow. Laya helped Boon carry firewood to the shed. Halfway through, her foot slipped on the icy ground. She cried out as she fell, but strong arms caught her before she hit the dirt. Her hands clutched his shoulders. His size overwhelmed her again, but this time she didn't feel small. She felt held. Laya looked up into his face. His jaw was dusted with stubble. His eyes were dark and steady. His breath formed small white clouds in the cold air. "You're too big," she whispered again, but her voice didn't shake this time. Boon's hands tightened just enough to keep her from falling. "Then hold on tighter," he said softly. Her breath caught in her throat. She didn't know if he meant hold on tighter to him or hold on tighter to living. Maybe it was both. Maybe that was why it felt like something deep inside her shifted. Boon set her on her feet and stepped back, giving her space. She touched her chest, trying to steady her heartbeat. Later, inside the cabin, the warmth of the fire wrapped around them. Boon cooked while she mended one of his torn shirts. The quiet between them felt different now, fuller, safer. When the meal was done, Boon set 2 bowls on the table. They ate in slow silence until Laya finally set down her spoon. "I need to tell you something," she said. He didn't push her. He only looked at her with that steady patience that made her brave. She took a deep breath. "I wasn't attacked by bandits. I was running from my husband, from the sheriff who worked for him, from the men he sent after me." Boon didn't move, didn't blink. "He hurt me," she said. "He would hurt me again if he found me." The truth spilled from her lips like water breaking through a dam. She told him how she escaped, how she ran, how the storm almost claimed her. When she finished, the room felt heavy with the weight of everything she had carried alone. Boon stood, towering over her. She expected anger, pity, shock. Instead, his voice was low and firm. "No one is taking you from here," he said, "not while I'm breathing." Her hands trembled, but not from fear this time. From relief. "Why?" she whispered. "Because you didn't come this far to go back to hell," he said. "And because I won't let a cruel man claim you again." Her eyes filled with tears. She hadn't cried in front of anyone in years. Boon stepped closer, not touching her, just close enough for her to feel his warmth. "If he comes here," she whispered, "he'll kill you." Boon's jaw tightened. "Let him try." A soft, shaking breath left her chest. She didn't know how long she stood there looking at him, the firelight dancing across his face. She felt something she thought she had lost forever. Safety. Strength. A place she could belong. "He won't find you," Boon said again. "Not while you're with me." She took a step forward. Her hand rose slowly, almost without her meaning to. Her fingers brushed his chest. His heartbeat was steady and strong beneath her touch. He didn't pull back. And for the first time since she fled her old life, Laya didn't feel like she was running. She felt like she had reached something. Someone. She swallowed hard. "Boon, what if he does find me?" Boon's voice was low. "Then he'll face a man who has something to protect now." She lifted her eyes to his. "And what's that?" she asked softly. "You," he said. The fire cracked. The wind softened outside. And in that small cabin on the edge of the Texas plains, Laya felt her heart steady for the first time in her life.